This program is sponsored in part by
Municipal Credit Union, serving the financial needs of our members since 1916. MCU, strong, trusted, growing.
Transit Check saves money for commuters, lowers payroll taxes for businesses, and it's also good for the environment. With Transit Check, everyone benefits.
The Transit Managerial Benevolent Association, protecting the rights of non-represented active and retired managerial employees within the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Mike Landy, President.
Con Edison, on it, working for you 24/7. We're delivering reliable service, energizing your life, empowering your business. We're people helping people every day.
And by the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association of the City of New York, fighting for the rights of the police officers who protect New York City. Patrick J. Lynch, President.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Transit News Magazine. Can you believe, Anthony, we've been on the air for 18 years and it has been one great ride. I'm Mark Gross.
And Mark, talk about great experiences. The Big Apple Circus is one show every New Yorker should visit. I'm Amta Solasan.
The Big Apple Circus has been bringing thrills and spills to young and old alike for 34 years.
So before we take you through a ride through time on this month's show,
from 1941 to 1976, the subways adorned subway cars, and I got to meet some. I'm Rhea Titus, and I've got that story.
I am going on the last ride through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. I'm Helle Andersen, and I've got that story.
The Quinterian Tree from Hungary has spent years perfecting their hand-to-hand acrobatics, and they've been lifting Enoch, their female front woman, to new heights.
the people in the Rockaways are also looking for a lift to and from the city. Here's Kaila Strickland with that story.
The destruction of Hurricane Sandy severely damaged the Rockaway Line service, putting it out of action.
When we first came out here, there were over 20 boats, jet skis, surfboards, old docks, just piles and piles of debris. So our first task was just to clear the debris so we could see the tracks. And at this point, we've got most of the debris cleared and we're restoring the tracks at this point.
The rebuilding of the line will be a demanding job, taking months of preparation and manual labor.
The trucks portion work we are moving. However, for us to run the train, there's various other systems. We are still assessing the damage of the system, which is the signals, which is the major part, the power and communication. We made a very good progress within the 4 weeks of work starting from November 1st.
The MTA made the decision to truck subway cars onto the Rockaway Peninsula.
Once power was restored by LIPA, we were in a good position to provide service for our Rockaway customers.
Until the tracks were repaired, the temporary H shuttle was created.
Although the H shuttle was an emergency decision, it is functioning as a sufficient alternative to get commuters moving.
We are currently operating 4-car train sets. We're operating 3 trains at 15-minute intervals, and we're hoping to serve at least several thousand riders a day in the Rockaways. The shuttle train service operates between Beach 90th and Holland Avenue to Far Rockaway Mott Avenue, which is approximately 7 stations. And from Far Rockaway, passengers can take the fare-free shuttle bus to Howard Beach, and they can transfer for A-train service into Manhattan.
Well, initially it took a lot of detouring because when we first came to the area, we could not recognize where the roadway stopped and where the beach started, and there was a lot of debris in the roadway, so it was very difficult to maneuver in the area the first few days. Right now we have a standard route, and the people are very familiar with it, so that's making it a lot easier. Right now we're operating over 100 buses per day just on the shuttle. But we are also monitoring the people that's returning back to the Rockaways. And like for the Q52, we had to enhance that route that serves the Western Peninsula because there's an increase in ridership.
There is still a lot of work that needs to be done to the signals, tracks, and stations. But this free shuttle is a step in the right direction.
I mean, gets me to my destination, gets me to school. Not early, but late, but as long as there's a way to get there, I'm all right with it.
Before, it was inconvenient to travel by the bus or no buses at all. So the addition of the shuttle trains has alleviated the problem.
We should be thankful that the city has made an effort in order for people to get through and from, whether it's your jobs or they're going shopping, whatever it is. We should be thankful for this.
It may take some time to get service back to the Rockaways, but the MTA will make sure that residents are not left stranded. I'm Kaila Strickland reporting for Transit News.
Contortionist Elaine Kramer from Argentina has been bending her body from the age of 7 and able to do hand balancing in the most amazing ways. Mark, I don't know how she does it.
Well, Ampty, the crew from Bridges and Tunnels did an amazing job reopening the Hugh L. Carey Tunnel. We sent our reporters Tanika and Helle out to see just how they did it.
It's hard to believe that several weeks ago, this tunnel was flooded to the top with over 60 million gallons of water. It's now open to vehicles.
Bridge and tunnel employees work day and night to drain the equivalent of 120 Olympic-sized pools of water from the Queens Midtown and the Hugh L. Carey tunnels.
It took approximately 2 weeks to drain down the Hugh L. Carey tunnel and approximately 1 week to drain down the Queens Midtown tunnel.
To say that it was challenging would be an understatement.
There were some workers here that had lost their homes or had severe damage to their homes. The contractors and our own employees had difficulties just getting gasoline to come to work in those different shifts. They might work here 2 shifts and then have to go home and spend 3 hours online for fuel. That created hardship for a lot of the guys working.
And lessons learned from Sandy will make sure that the MTA is prepared for the next superstorm.
We're going to evaluate all of the points where the water came into the plazas and entered into the tunnel and try to figure out the best way to eliminate those entry points. We installed approximately 140,000 feet of temporary power line for temporary lighting fixtures throughout the tunnels also as part of the effort to recover.
This tunnel survived the wrath of Hurricane Sandy, which is a true testament to its construction. Here's Helle Andersen with that story.
The Brooklyn Battery Tunnel is a true marvel of construction and the longest continuous underwater tunnel in the United States. It could have been a bridge if Robert Moses, chairman of the Triborough Bridge Authority, had his way. His plan to build a bridge that connected Manhattan and Brooklyn divided public opinion.
This became a tremendously unpopular idea because it would have ruined the lower Manhattan skyline. If you can imagine a huge bridge off Battery Park. The most famous protester of the bridge was Eleanor Roosevelt, who wrote in her column, My Day, it was a newspaper column she had at the time, that it was really a shame that in the name of efficiency we were going to have to lose the skyline and lose the park.
The designer and chief engineer of the tunnel, Ollie Singstad, was fired because he didn't back Moses' plan for a bridge. The controversy was put to an end on July 17, 1939, when Secretary of War Harry Woodring vetoed the bridge for national security reasons. Conceived in 1929, the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel was proposed to relieve traffic on the 3 East River bridges. It took another 7 years for the project to be approved. Tunnel construction began in October of 1940 with President Franklin D. Roosevelt attending the groundbreaking ceremony. Robert Olmsted, an engineer who worked on the tunnel between 1946 and 1949, explains how a tunnel of such great importance was built.
The battery tunnel was built by what we call the shield method. Shield is a device that covers the part of the tunnel that has already been built and projects out a bit ahead of that so that the workers can work under its protection.
The front of the shield had a cutting edge that was 31 feet in diameter. The rear had an arm which placed the steel rings that then lined the tunnel. There were a total of 4 tunnels that were excavated. 1 from Manhattan, 1 from Brooklyn, and 2 from Governor's Island.
I was the first one to walk from Manhattan to Governor's Island after the tunnel was holed through.
The tunnel workers, also known as sandhogs, worked in compressed air under very stressful conditions.
It was very warm, it was very misty, it was very noisy because they were drilling in rock. Then it was very quiet as they were loading the holes with dynamite, and then boom, 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 after the cry, fire in the hole, and I was ready to quit right then and there, but I did last another 2.5 years.
Due to material shortages during World War II, construction on the tunnel ceased for 3 years. With the merger of the Triborough Bridge Authority and the New York City Tunnel Authority, work resumed in the fall of 1945. In September of 1948, when the tubes met in the middle of New York Harbor, they were only 3/8 of an inch off center, incredible accuracy for its day. Over the next year and a half, the concrete linings of the tubes, the wall, ceiling tiles, and the pavement were completed. On May 25, 1950, opening ceremonies were held for the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. Mayor William O'Dwyer and other dignitaries attended.
I'm happy to compliment not only the engineers, George Spargo and his group of the Bridge and Tunnel Authority, but to Bob Moses especially. Every thanks of this city goes for his energy and thought in following through this magnificent improvement.
The total cost of the project was well over $90 million. During the first year of its opening, 13.9 million vehicles passed through this piece of New York history. Today, around 16.5 million cars pass through the tunnel each year. And now, the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel has been renamed after the late New York State Governor, Hugh L. Carey.
As we dedicate this bridge for Governor Carey, these are the things that really matter. This bridge is more than just a tunnel. It really supports commerce, traffic every day. It's about life. It's about connectivity. It's about heroism. It is about our city and our state. And it really symbolizes so much. And that's why there's no more fitting tribute than to honor former Governor Carey in this manner.
Members of Carey's family, Mayor Bloomberg, MTA Chairman Joseph Lota, and other officials attended the ceremony to rename the tunnel.
As proud as we are of all that he accomplished, we are equally humbled by this tribute. On behalf of the Carey family and extended friends of you, Leo Carey, we say thank you to the people of the state of New York for making this possible.
Every day, thousands of commuters, however, don't take the subway. They drive through this tunnel and into Hugh Carey's old congressional district. And they're thinking of work, perhaps, or home, or school, or their to-do list for that day. And from this day forward, if only for a moment, they'll also think of Hugh L. Carey.
To commemorate the historical day, the MTA unveiled the new stainless steel lettering, declaring it the Hugh L. Carey Tunnel.
Hugh Carey was very instrumental in the MTA. He was the one who developed our capital plan. Without that capital plan, the deteriorating subways would not have changed around. I encourage anybody to go back and look what the subways looked like in the 1970s before he became governor and look at them today. The stations are much better, the trains are much better, the entire experience is much better. That's all because he had the foresight to develop the capital plan.
You can take the Jackie Robinson Parkway into Brooklyn, the Robert F. Kennedy Bridge into Queens, and now you can take the Hugh L. Carey Tunnel into Manhattan. I'm Helle Andersen, reporting for Transit News.
Tell me about the Big Apple Circus.
Well, the Big Apple Circus this year is celebrating its 35th anniversary performance, and we're in our beautiful home in New York City, Lincoln Center. So it is New York City Circus. So make sure you come out and see our all brand new production called Legendarium, in which I tell legends of the circus. We say it's fun facts and great acts. We have tons of acts from all over the world. Our jugglers come from France and the Netherlands. We have a contortionist from Argentina. I taught her everything she knows. And we have acrobats from China and Canada. And of course, our wonderful animal trainer, Jenny Vidbell. She trains our horses, our dogs, our ponies, and even oxen this year, and she's from the United States.
What makes the Big Apple Circus so special?
The intimacy of it. People are blown away, not by the quality of the acts, of course they are, but because they're so close, you can see everything up close. No seat is more than 50 feet away.
So what time are you open, and when can we come and see you?
Well, you know what? We are here at Lincoln Center only till January 13th. Time is running out, but there's still plenty of opportunity. So the best thing to do is to go to bigapplecircus.org. Gives you all the information, our show times, our ticket prices, the availability, and that's the best way to come see myself and all the performers from all over the world and all our animals this year at Big Apple Circus Legendarium.
Gives new meaning to Man of Steel. And while he may not be made of steel, what he can do with the edge of his wheel of steel is very cool.
And talk about living on the Edge of Manhattan photo exhibit is a must-see. Here's Helle Andersen with that story.
At the Bowling Green 4-5 station, commuters have a new temporary photo exhibition called Edge of Manhattan.
MTA Arts for Transit has a lightbox program with these light boxes in 4 stations. So for Bowling Green, we know that the people coming through may not be from around here. So we like to show them something about where they are.
The exhibit features the work of a local photographer and nearby resident, Jay Fine.
When you're in Lower Manhattan, you're surrounded by water, and a lot of people don't really get that feeling. But there are so many hidden spaces. And Jay's work is really primarily about the waterfront. He lives in a high-rise over the river. He leans out the window with his camera all the time.
Jay sets his lens on Lower Manhattan, recording the sublime beauty and dramatic weather, as well as the architecture and the people.
Every day, thousands of people come downtown as tourists, and they probably take tens of thousands of photos. And I live here, so I'm out there every day. I can get a slightly different perspective, so I'm hoping I can help them see some of the things they've missed.
The exhibit showcases the places one sees from the edge of the city, from a marching band on a pier to a solitary walk alongside the river, fireboats breaking up ice floes, and the Staten Island ferry emerging from a wall of clouds.
And this image shows a strike that appears to hit the arm of the statue, as well as 2 minutes before and 2 minutes afterward. So I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do that again. The atmospheric conditions will never be quite the same, but I'm happy I was able to capture it.
MTA Arts for Transit and Urban Design enhances the transit environment throughout the MTA system with art, music, the Lightbox Project, and much, much more.
We're really thrilled at Arts for Transit with the response to this show, because it's hard to, you have to pick 7 or 8 photographs that sort of tell you a story, and do it with color and imagery, and people have really responded.
I think they're real interesting, very nice, very exciting, something to lively up the train station.
I think they're exceptional. They're really some really exceptional photos.
I never stopped to look at them. This is the first time, and I'll probably stop here more often.
You don't have to go to a museum to experience fine art. All you have to do is to come down to the Bowling Green station and experience the edge of Manhattan. I'm Helle Andersen, reporting for Transit News.
The all-female Dalian acrobatic troupe of China started in 1951, showing off their skills of balance and riding to the world.
In 1941 to 1976, the Miss Subway posters adorned the ad space in subway cars. We sent our reporters to the Miss Subway's reunion and exhibit at the New York Transit Museum. Here's that story.
Ellen Hart gathered her fellow former Miss Subways to her Stardust Diner. The cocktail reception was filled with memories and a good time with the beautiful ladies.
The winners of the Miss Subways contest from 1941 to 1976 filled the diner with a joyful atmosphere, commemorating the days they were New York City's beauty queens of the subway.
We're representing my mom, Connie Salmon, 1943, February, Miss Subway.
It's wonderful. I think it's a great tribute.
Oh, the reception is the best one I've been to. Everyone has been so friendly and everyone's talking together. I can't wait till next time.
Through this whole project, we're getting to know each other. See, because we all had different years and different time periods. So to be able to, learn about some of the journeys of the other Miss Subways. And Ellen, who owns the cafe, bless her heart, she has the largest collection of posters.
From one of the first Miss Subways to the very last, delightful stories were told about how their lives have changed since.
I enjoyed being Miss Subway. It gave me so much pleasure, and it formed a whole new career for me in modeling. I had 7 years of wonderful times modeling in New York.
How was your experience being the last Miss Subway?
It was great. It was wonderful. I was promoting aviation at the time. I'm a pilot, so that was my motto at the time.
Miss Subways put a smile on commuters' faces and made those who rode the subway feel good.
In 1941, when it began, the country wasn't doing so great. And among all the advertisements on the subway, they thought if they had a photo of a well-groomed young lady who had aspirations that was beyond just being a wife and a mom, but she wanted to make a contribution to the community at large, that this was a sign of hope and encouragement to, go ahead and move on.
Many of the ladies thought it would be a good idea to continue this once proud tradition.
No, I think it's a really good experience, and I don't know why they stopped, but I think it would be a great thing if they had it again, because it gave a little bit of color to the subway.
Family members spoke with pride about their loved ones being local beauty queens.
And then a few years ago, my cousin who lives here saw my mom's picture up in the diner. And so now I brought my 3 kids to see her, and so it's really a fun thing.
Ellen Hart worked endlessly to achieve the process of reuniting and showing the ladies a good time.
It's so great to see all of them again. I mean, they range from age 93 on down. We've been keeping in touch over all the years since 1982, and so we had our own list. And then Fiona, who was writing the book, tracked down some more. And now we added to our list. So here at this reunion, there's about 30 Miss Subways, but I think in total there's about 60 of them.
Aside from providing cocktail service, the waitstaff at Ellen's Stardust Diner also made sure to show off their world-famous talent and sang along with the ladies.
This was an unforgettable reunion for the Miss Subways to celebrate and reminisce. Let's go to the New York Transit Museum for more on this story.
The New York Transit Museum Meet Miss Subway exhibition is now open, and it explores the history of New York's subway beauty queens from 1941 to 1976.
Fiona Gardner approached us. She's a photographer who's with this idea of tracking down Miss Subways from decades and decades past and photographing each one as they are today and finding out what happened to their lives. It was so interesting. We said we really wanted to get involved, so we were very happy to have the New York Transit Museum be the venue for her exhibition.
After seeing the original Miss Subway's cards in the famous Ellen's Stardust Diner, Fiona was inspired to see where they are today.
Well, originally it started out as a piece that I did for the New York Times as a portfolio in the city section, and that's sort of what got it all rolling. And I always knew that I wanted to do a book project, and I collaborated with Amy Zimmer, who is a journalist in New York, to kind of find out what these women's lives were like and what they had done outside of Miss Subways.
Former winners received a boost in status and a taste of stardom from their reign as Miss Subway's beauty queens.
I sang at the national anthem at the Ranger and Nick Games in Madison Square Garden. I appeared in bungalow colonies in Rockland County and was a singer, did gigs. I just had local celebrity, which was great.
As Miss Subways, I got to go to a premiere of Finian's Rainbow. I met Fred Astaire. I represented New York at President Nixon's inauguration.
If you weren't here to meet Miss Subways on opening day, no worries. You can still hear their stories right on the phone.
the company that started this thought, well, if we put pictures of pretty girls up there, then everybody will look up at the advertising and you'll see the beer ad to the right of it and the cigarette ad to the left of it. And that was really the whole concept behind it. But they eventually just became part of, your daily commute in, seeing the new person every month.
Miss Subways was one of the first contests to incorporate women from various backgrounds, including the first African-American Miss Subway in 1948, Thelma Porter. They were admired not only for their beauty, but for their ambition as well.
I love the fact that they had many different races and religions. Even in 1947, they had Asian Miss Subways and Black Miss Subways, so I think that they were always very open to all the people.
Sort of an evolution. If you start the posters from the 40s and you go up to the 70s, I think you'll get a very good flavor of how the women's movement evolved.
The new book, Meet Miss Subways, New York's Beauty Queens, 1941 to 1976, gives a closer look into the lives of the Miss Subways.
The book features more than 40 women, and the oral histories are more in depth, and the essays are more in depth, so it just presents a fuller picture of their individual stories and how their stories reflect larger changes in terms of subway history, of New York City history, and of history of women and their changing roles in society.
Get to the New York Transit Museum this winter and experience this iconic photography that put women's dreams on track. Reporting for Transit News, I'm Rhea Titus.
Mark, can you believe it's going to be our 18th year on the air? We've met some great people, visited cool places, and done some terrific things over the years, like here at the Big Apple Circus.
And we couldn't have done it without all of our volunteers, interns, and sponsors. And talk about talent, the acts here were amazing.
Yes, Mark, they were. Well, that just about wraps up this month's show. If you have any questions, comments, or story ideas, please email us at transitnews@nyct.com. I'm Amsa Hassan. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Mark Gross. Thanks for riding.
Happy New Year!
This program is sponsored in part by
Municipal Credit Union, serving the financial needs of our members since 1916. MCU, strong, trusted, growing.
Transit Check, saves money for commuters, lowers payroll taxes for businesses, and it's also good for the environment. With Transit Check, everyone benefits.
The Transit Managerial Benevolent Association, protecting the rights of non-represented, active, and retired managerial employees within the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Mike Landy, President.
Con Edison, on it, working for you 24/7. We're delivering reliable service, energizing your life, empowering your business. We're people helping people every day.
And by the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association of the City of New York, fighting for the rights of the police officers who protect New York City. Patrick J. Lynch, President.